NBC has now suspended Billy Bush, the other voice you hear with Donald Trump on that tape.
Today, we're talking about some of the most shocking times when well-known TV hosts lost their jobs.
Breaking news for our viewers. NBC's Matt Lauer has been fired over reports of inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace.
These scandals were so big that they shook entire TV networks. From Matt Lauer's sudden downfall to the moment Sharon Osbourne went too far.
Educate me. Tell me when you have heard him say racist things.
Each story shows how quickly fame can disappear. With public anger, surprising secrets, and big backlash, these once-loved hosts became cautionary tales. Don Lemon. Don Lemon had been a familiar face on CNN since 2006, building a career as a respected journalist. But over the years, some of his comments, especially about women, had drawn criticism. Still, nothing compared to what happened in early 2023. On 19th February, during a live segment, Lemon commented on politician Nikki Haley's age, saying that a woman is considered to be in her prime, in her 20s, 30s, and maybe 40s. The remark instantly set off a firestorm, with viewers and colleagues calling it sexist. Was it just a poorly chosen phrase, or part of a bigger pattern? Soon, Variety released a report detailing past alleged misogynistic behavior. That's when the situation truly snowballed. Lemon apologized, insisting he didn't mean to offend. But the apology couldn't stop what was coming next. On 24th of April, CNN announced his firing. For someone who had been with the network for 17 years, it was a stunning fall. Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson had been the loud, unapologetic face of Top Gear for decades, so no one expected his BBC career to end the way it did. In 2015, while filming in North Yorkshire, a small inconvenience set the stage for something much bigger. Clarkson was told the hotel chef had gone home, meaning the steak he wanted wasn't available. What followed wasn't just a complaint, it was a heated argument with producer Oisin Timon that escalated into a physical altercation, sending Timon to the hospital. The BBC suspended Clarkson almost immediately, and soon after, they announced his contract would not be renewed. For many fans, this was a shock. For others, it was the inevitable result of his persona. Clarkson later settled with Timon and, alongside Richard Hammond and James May, struck a massive deal with Amazon for the Grand Tour. The incident didn't just end his Top Gear chapter, it tested the brand itself, which struggled without him. Yet Clarkson proved hard to sideline, moving on to new projects that kept his trademark style, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? AJ Clemente. Starting a new job can make anyone nervous, but for AJ Clemente, his first day in 2013 came with an extra challenge. He was live on TV, and what happened next would make him unforgettable, though not for the reason he hoped. On his very first broadcast in Bismarck, North Dakota, Clemente let slip a couple of colorful expletives without realizing his microphone was already on. His co-anchor, Van Tew, tried to keep things moving, introducing him to viewers, but Clemente's jitters didn't go away. He stumbled through his self-introduction, mentioning he was from the East Coast, clearly still shaken. Within moments, the mistake had sealed his fate, and he was fired almost immediately. It was a career-ending blow, but also an instant internet sensation. Clips of the moment spread quickly, giving people across the country a laugh at his expense. Clemente later admitted he had no idea they were live when it happened. His slip-up became one of the fastest and most memorable TV firings ever. Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon had built a solid career as a host since launching Wild 'N Out in 2005. turning the show into a hit that lasted over 15 years. But in 2020, a moment threatened to undo it all. During a podcast, Cannon made comments seen as offensive toward both racial and religious groups, remarks that hinted at the storm about to follow. Viacom CBS reacted quickly, cutting ties and ending his contract. For a host who had been part of their brand for years, it was a sudden and very public fall. Cannon responded with public apologies and began meeting with community leaders, trying to better understand the harm his words had caused. 6 months later came an unexpected twist. Viacom's CBS reinstated him as Wild 'N Out host, signaling they believed in his attempts to make amends. The controversy left so many questions about where the line lies between mistakes and redemption. For Cannon, it became a career-defining chapter, one that showed how fast success can vanish and how hard it is to earn a second chance. Stephen Colbert. During the July 17, 2025 taping at the Ed Sullivan Theater, Stephen Colbert stunned the audience and viewers at home by announcing live that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert would be ending its run in May 2026, marking the end of the entire Late Show franchise on CBS. Colbert revealed he had been informed of the decision only the night before. As the crowd booed, he responded, "Yeah, I share your feelings," before confirming, "It's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away." He expressed heartfelt gratitude to his 200-strong crew and fans, describing it as a fantastic job he was about to do with this usual gang of idiots for another 10 months. CBS cited financial challenges facing late-night television, particularly rising costs and shifting viewership habits, as the reason behind the cancellation. However, the announcement occurred just days after Colbert publicly criticized Paramount for paying a $16 million settlement to Donald Trump, which he called a big fat bribe. That timing fueled widespread speculation, with critics, including Senators Adam Schiff and Elizabeth Warren, the Writers Guild of America, and Jon Stewart, questioning whether the move was politically motivated. Natasha Exelby. You might not know Natasha Exelby's name, but there's a good chance you've seen the clip. It starts innocently, a live ABC Australia news broadcast in full swing, but then the camera cuts back to Natasha. She's absent-mindedly twirling her pen, clearly miles away in thought. Her sudden, wide-eyed realization is priceless. She snaps back, tries to smoothly segue to the next segment, but the moment is already burned into internet history. While the world laughed, Natasha didn't. At the time, she was freelancing, and ABC chose not to give her more on-air shifts. What followed was unexpected. Her treatment over a harmless mistake sparked more support from industry peers than she'd ever received in her career. It's a reminder that, in live TV, one tiny slip can become your defining moment. And sometimes, the public reaction is very different from the boss's reaction. Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly's move from Fox News to NBC was meant to mark a fresh chapter, but it ended far sooner than expected. Hosting her own daytime talk show, she seemed set for long-term success. Until one panel discussion in 2018 hinted at trouble ahead. The topic was Halloween costumes, and the conversation shifted to blackface. Kelly suggested it might be acceptable in certain contexts, a remark that sparked immediate backlash. Within hours, criticism poured in from viewers, civil rights groups, and even former colleagues. Kelly apologized publicly, acknowledging she had been wrong. But the damage was already done. Ratings, which had been shaky, dropped sharply, giving NBC executives a reason to cancel the show. The controversy became part of a larger debate about cultural sensitivity and racial awareness in the media. For critics, her defense of blackface ignored its deeply painful history. For Kelly, it was a career-defining mistake. After her exit, she turned to podcasting and writing, trying to rebuild her platform. Tom Brennaman. Tom Brennaman's career ended in one of the most unforgettable live TV moments, one that started like any other pre-game show. It was 2020, and Brennaman was calling games for the Cincinnati Reds. Then, without knowing his mic was live, he made an anti-gay slur about San Francisco. The comment went out to everyone watching. In the second game of that day's doubleheader, Brennaman was pulled from the booth. But before leaving, he tried to address the situation mid-broadcast, delivering a strange mix of apology and play-by-play. "I pride myself as a man of faith, and there's a drive into deep left field by Castellanos." The moment became instantly infamous. By the end of the night, it was clear to everyone, including Brennaman, that his career with the Reds and possibly Fox Sports was over. Angel Cardenas. We've all heard of foot-in-mouth moments on live TV, and this case is the perfect example. Let's just say this reporter's day at work ended in a way he probably didn't expect. Or maybe he did. Sacramento reporter Angel Cardenas was covering an upcoming classic car show. At first, it was just a normal segment until he realized no one was around to stop him. Surrounded by gleaming, priceless cars, Cardenas decided to live on the wild side. What exactly does that mean? Well, he climbed onto one car, posed on it, and even leaned against another, possibly leaving a dent. While cracking jokes and asking what year the car was, his casual antics were going out live. The result? Cardenas was fired soon after. Whether it was a moment of reckless fun or a strange form of career self-sabotage, it became a memorable reminder. Paula Deen. Paula Deen's rise in the culinary world seemed unstoppable. Since 2002, she had charmed audiences with Paula's home cooking, becoming a household name for Southern comfort food. But in 2013, her career took a sudden and sharp turn. That June, a lawsuit from former employee Lisa Jackson accused Deen of using racial slurs and creating a hostile work environment. In court, Deen admitted to using offensive language in the past, a revelation that hinted at the storm about to follow. While she ultimately didn't lose the lawsuit, the court of public opinion was far less forgiving. The Food Network cut ties, and endorsements vanished almost overnight. Fans were divided. Some defended her as a product of her upbringing, while others argued her actions were unacceptable in any era. The fallout stretched beyond television, hurting her restaurants and cookbook sales. Deen tried to rebuild her image through smaller networks and live cooking events, but her mainstream influence never fully returned. Gustavo Malpine. Getting fired is tough. Getting fired while you're live on air? That's a whole other level. But in 2024, Mexican broadcaster Gustavo Malpine learned exactly what that feels like. He was in the middle of hosting his political satire show Ciudadano 2.0 when the channel's head, Luis Arnold Cabada Alvidrez, suddenly walked onto the set. At first, Malpine thought it was part of a planned sketch, the kind of unexpected twist his show thrived on. But then came the shocker. His boss thanked him for 6 years of work and told him his job was over. Here's the wild part. Malpine kept going, finishing the episode as if nothing had happened. Viewers were stunned, and outrage grew when whispers surfaced that certain politicians he'd criticized may have pushed for his firing. Malpine's exit became one of the most talked about on-air moments of the year. Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin had built a reputation for bold, no-holds-barred comedy, but in 2017, she took a step that would change her career forever. In May, she posted a shocking photo, herself holding a fake bloody head made to look like then-President Donald Trump. It was meant as political satire, but the image crossed a line for many, and the backlash was immediate. Her comedy tour dates vanished overnight. Brand deals ended. CNN dropped her from its New Year's Eve broadcast. The incident even reportedly sparked a Secret Service investigation, hinting at just how far the fallout might reach. Griffin at first apologized, but later took it back, defending the photo as artistic expression. The debate exploded. Some saw it as free speech, others as a dangerous, tasteless stunt. Even years later, during the 2020 election, she reposted the image, reigniting controversy. She's called the experience career-altering and emotionally crushing, but it didn't silence her. Griffin kept performing stand-up and speaking out about censorship and political division. Kelly Osbourne. Sometimes one sentence is all it takes to flip a TV moment from thoughtful to disastrous. In 2015, Kelly Osbourne found that out the hard way on The View. The conversation turned to Donald Trump's comments about Mexican immigrants, and Kelly decided to make her point in a bold way. But the words that came out didn't land as she hoped. "If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?" she said. The room tensed instantly. While she intended to criticize Trump's attitude toward the Mexican community, the remarks sounded very different. Kelly later explained she was misunderstood and apologized, saying she never meant to hurt anyone. But damage like that is hard to undo. Not long after, she left Fashion Police and has since bounced between family projects and competition shows, leaving many to wonder if she'll ever get another major hosting role again. Matt Lauer. For over 20 years, Matt Lauer was the trusted face of NBC's Today Show, until one morning in 2017 changed everything. Viewers tuned in expecting the usual smiles, but instead, they got shocking news. Lauer had been abruptly fired. NBC said the dismissal came after a female employee accused him of inappropriate behavior during the Sochi Winter Olympics. But that was only the beginning. Soon, more allegations surfaced, each more troubling than the last. And then came the bigger twist, reports claiming NBC had known about problems for years. Investigative journalist Ronan Farrow revealed that the network had even avoided publishing a major Harvey Weinstein story, allegedly fearing Weinstein would retaliate by exposing Lauer. That revelation shifted the scandal from one man's actions to a much deeper problem inside network news. Lauer's fall from grace became one of the defining moments of the Me Too era, showing that even TV's biggest stars could face consequences. NBC scrambled to tighten its harassment policies. Sharon Osbourne. Sharon Osbourne's rise in television seemed unstoppable after her family's reality show fame, until 2021 brought a turning point. During a March episode of The Talk, a tense on-air debate erupted over Piers Morgan's criticism of Meghan Markle. Sharon defended Morgan, voicing fears she'd be branded racist. But what happened next would change everything. CBS launched an investigation, concluding her comments broke workplace respect standards. They also admitted producers hadn't prepared the hosts for such a charged discussion. The fallout? The show went on hiatus, and Sharon's decade-long run ended abruptly. She insisted her words were misunderstood, saying she only meant to protect a friend. Still, many felt her tone dismissed the importance of racial sensitivity. The incident peeled back the curtain on the unseen tensions behind daytime talk shows and hinted at just how tricky race conversations remain in mainstream media. Though Sharon eventually returned to TV elsewhere, this controversy became a lasting chapter in her career. Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly was one of Fox News' biggest stars, but long before his dramatic exit, trouble had been brewing. In 2004, he quietly settled a harassment case with producer Andrea Macris. Then, in 2017, the New York Times revealed something explosive. Fox and O'Reilly had secretly settled with 5 women over harassment claims. The story set off a chain reaction. Nearly 60 advertisers pulled their spots, and the financial blow left Fox with little choice but to cut ties. But the revelations didn't stop there. Reports soon uncovered a staggering $32 million settlement to Fox analyst Liz Wheel, bringing total payouts linked to O'Reilly to around $45 million. For a man with millions of loyal viewers, this was a fall few saw coming. The scandal rocked conservative media and sparked criticism of Fox for allegedly shielding him for years. It also encouraged more victims in the industry to speak out. While O'Reilly has tried to rebuild his career through podcasts and online shows, the shadow of what happened still hangs over him. Rush Limbaugh. Most people know Rush Limbaugh as a hugely popular talk radio host, but fewer remember his short-lived time as an ESPN football commentator. And there's a reason for that. It didn't take long before his on-air words stirred up a storm. During one segment, Limbaugh gave his thoughts on Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb. Mini payoff. He called McNabb overrated, but that wasn't the part that caused the biggest uproar. Limbaugh went further, suggesting the quarterback got extra praise because he was black. Was this a critique of McNabb or something bigger? Limbaugh later said he wasn't attacking the player, but rather the media's coverage of him. Still, many viewers labeled the comments as racist, and backlash quickly spread. Just a few weeks into his ESPN tenure, Limbaugh announced his resignation. For someone so used to controversy in radio, his time in sports commentary ended faster than almost anyone expected. Billy Bush. Billy Bush seemed set for a long career in TV until one recording changed everything. A member of the Bush political family, he had made his mark on Access Hollywood and joined NBC's Today Show in 2015. But in October 2016, an old tape surfaced that would derail it all. It was the now infamous Access Hollywood recording, capturing Donald Trump making crude remarks about women while speaking to Bush. The clip shocked the public, but what happened next came fast. Bush was suspended almost immediately. Within a week, NBC made it permanent. His firing sparked a wider conversation about whether media figures had been complicit in letting such comments slide. Critics questioned why Bush, as the interviewer, didn't challenge Trump at the moment. The backlash hit hard, forcing Bush out of mainstream media for years. Eventually, he returned as host of Extra, rebuilding a quieter career. Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce's life after basketball seemed set for a smooth transition. The NBA legend, with 19 seasons under his belt, joined ESPN in 2017 as an analyst. But his time there was uneven, and in April 2021, it came to an abrupt and very public end. That night, Pierce went live on Instagram. What viewers saw wasn't the usual sports talk. It was him at a poker game, maskless, drinking, smoking, and surrounded by scantily dressed women dancing in the background. For ESPN, partly owned by Disney, this was the tipping point. Within days, without a public statement, they cut ties. The video stirred bigger questions. Was this just one mistake, or the final straw in a pattern of concerns? Pierce had already drawn mixed reactions for his laid-back, sometimes confrontational commentary style. Since then, Pierce has stayed mostly out of mainstream sports media, keeping his voice alive on social media. George Lopez. This one takes a turn you might not expect, because the controversy wasn't about George Lopez's personal life at all. The trouble started when TBS made a bold move, one that would quietly set off a chain reaction. When Conan O'Brien joined the network with his own late-night show, schedules shifted. On paper, it was just a time slot change. In reality, it planted the seed for something bigger. Lopez soon found himself pushed out of the position he'd built with Lopez Tonight. The mini payoff? He didn't hear about the cancellation from rumors, he got the call directly. But here's the kicker. It happened just 2 days before the public announcement in 2011. No long runway, no gentle lead-in, just a blunt end. Speaking to the Huffington Post, Lopez hinted at the deeper frustration. He believed TBS was putting all their eggs in Conan's basket, while showing little interest in the audience he had worked to reach. But what really happened behind those closed-door decisions? That's the part no one at TBS seemed willing to say out loud. Rick Sanchez. Rick Sanchez's rise at CNN seemed steady until one radio interview changed everything. Joining the network in 2004, he eventually landed his own show, Rick's List. But in 2010, during an appearance on SiriusXM's Stand Up with Pete Dominick, Sanchez made controversial remarks about Jon Stewart. It was the kind of comment that hinted trouble was coming, and it arrived fast. Backlash spread quickly, and CNN ended his contract within days. For some, it was a surprise. For others, it felt like the final spark in an already tense relationship. Sanchez had long been known for his bold, confrontational style, something that divided both viewers and colleagues. Afterward, he accused CNN of being too politically correct and of stifling different viewpoints. His words kept the controversy alive, but didn't restore his standing in mainstream media. Instead, Sanchez shifted to smaller platforms and independent digital projects. Glen Kuiper. For nearly 20 years, Glen Kuiper was the trusted play-by-play voice of the Oakland Athletics, a familiar sound for baseball fans. But on 5th May 2023, something happened on air that would change his career instantly. Broadcasting from Kansas City, Kuiper spoke about visiting the city's famous Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. But here's where it took a sharp turn. He accidentally began the museum's name with a racial slur. The reaction was immediate. But Kuiper quickly apologized on air, insisting it came out wrong and wasn't what he intended. But the damage was already done. The team's social media accounts publicly condemned the remark, and an internal investigation began. Then came the final blow. Kuiper was fired. Gretchen Carlson. Gretchen Carlson was a familiar face on Fox and Friends from 2006 to 2013 before hosting her own program, The Real Story with Gretchen Carlson. On screen, her career looked strong, but behind the scenes, tension was building toward a breaking point. In 2016, Carlson took a bold step that would change not just her career, but the network itself. She filed a lawsuit against Fox News CEO Roger Ailes, accusing him of repeated workplace harassment. She also claimed she was removed from Fox and Friends after complaining about co-host Steve Doocy and rejecting Ailes' advances. The case moved quickly. Within months, Fox settled for $20 million, a resolution that made headlines and marked a turning point in conversations about workplace behavior in the media industry. Carlson didn't fade away after the settlement. Instead, she became a leading voice for women confronting harassment, pushing for changes in corporate policies. Danielle Sergeant. In live broadcasting, there's one golden rule: never swear on air. Danielle Sergeant was about to learn that the hard way. It was 9 March 2006, and she was covering a live ESPN broadcast. The camera cut to pre-taped basketball footage. A safe moment, right? Not quite. Sergeant didn't realize her microphone was still hot. Moments later, viewers heard a crystal-clear F-bomb ring out. This wasn't a muffled slip or a maybe they didn't catch it situation. It was loud, unmistakable, and broadcast nationwide. While some at home may have laughed, the network wasn't amused. When her contract came up for renewal, ESPN quietly chose not to keep her on. We hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more amazing stories. Do you think these TV hosts deserve to be fired? Let us know in the comments below. See you next time.